Thank you very much. I am excited to have opportunity to talk here. And here is the very short outline what I'm going to cover in my presentation. So first, some basic notions of anthropological difference. Then I will talk about Sebeok's hierarchic approach and show an alternative to that. And important motivation for the model of concentric are animal cultures. So I will just briefly explain what this term means, and I will step to current views that also want to name the specificities of humans among other specificities. So the two mottos that will be important for my presentation. First, by Christoph Besch, a comparative psychologist and primatologist. We need to formulate our hypothesis about human uniqueness in terms of performance that we should confront to the known performance of animals. So this means that we will be mainly interested in behavior. We will also ask some questions about cognition and semiotics, but always we should have in mind that what matters first is behavior. And the second quote is by famous neo-Darwinian theorist, biologist Theodosius Dobzhansky. Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. But I think development is more important, and of course, semiotics. So these are two thinkers that made it to the agenda of history and also present of biosemiotics, Jakob von Uexküll and Adolf Pottmann. And I will use their framing of this problem of humans and animals as some basic level. For Jakob von Uexküll, he actually didn't ask, or that wasn't the main business for him, if humans are at all different from other beings. For him, each person's phenomenal world also, that means similar to animals, resembles a fixed dwelling that permanently surrounds him from birth to death. So for Uexküll, also human beings are surrounded by their umwelt. Adolf Pottmann made some additions to this teaching of umwelt, and this is the quote which will be important for next slides as well, so please try to remember it. And it has two parts. First one, whereas animal social forms are only changed by hereditary mutations, and that will be our question if this is good basis. Man's social forms are continually being changed by historic decisions and crises, and we will be specifically considered with what continuity means here. So Jakob von Uexküll is more interested in sameness or what is common for every species, like the phenomenal world. And Adolf Pottmann also asked about the differences. So this dialectics of sameness and difference is always what somehow underpins this problem of anthropological difference. And first, one should look for the sameness and only after ask about the differences. Sebeok made for biosemiotics very influential model of three modeling systems: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary one consists of umwelt, nonverbal communication. So once again, this is the level which is common for all living beings. The secondary modeling system consists of natural language. And here Sebeok basically had in mind only human case. So with sculpture, which makes the tertiary modeling system, his approach to this was that the system of daily living that is held together by a signifying order, like signs, codes, texts, and connective forms. So one of the problems with this approach is that this is already quite an exclusive definition of culture, and it's also logocentric. So this is, of course, connected to the structure where language is in the middle part and culture is superimposed to both domains. So I will show in the next slide the model which is partially based on Sebeok, but which wants to get rid of some two anthropocentric notions. And some intermediate step is to be found in the work of Portman, who can be viewed as one of the precedents of evolutionary development. And he actually made very famous case for the specificity of humans based in its development. And biological anthropologists still are connecting to this legacy. So I will try to explain it very shortly. So in the diagram, you can see two basic kinds of developments of mammals. First one is precocial. So from African mammals, this would be a case of antelopes or, for example, of elephants. So the infant is born basically in the form that is very similar to the adult. And also what is important here, that the litter is small and the offspring has open senses right from the beginning, and it's very good in locomotion right from the beginning. Whereas altricial type of development is typical for bigger litters. Quite often offspring are born with closed eyes, for example, and they are also very limited in locomotion. So the typical, we can find this in mice or in cats as well. And now Portman's assertion was that humans are somewhere in between, that they are basically precocial. So this is the case of all apes and more generally of all primates. But we have some features that are altricial. So what is quite important, that the locomotion is babies is really limited. But now what is the main argument why he made it very good way, not only to anthropology, but also to philosophy? He's one of the classics of philosophical anthropology, that actually we shouldn't look at human babies as helpless, but as that they have some opportunity in if we compare it to other primates. So something which at the first sight seems to be lackness is actually quite an opportunity for humans. And during the first year, Portman calls it a social uterus, that human babies are born from maternal uterus to social uterus. So their brain and the overall body constitution develop in the social womb, where all members of the group are quite happy to help the child. And what is important, that the main transition in terms of bodies and also cognition develop throughout this first year of life. So both upright posture and first linguistic utterances are not solely biological, but they can be acquired only due to the help of other members of the society. So we can say that upright posture and language are partially cultural achievements. So what is, in my eyes, nice about Portman's approach, that it really connects biology and culture. And he says that it's secondary outreach is a unique feature of humans, so it's understood from a biosocial perspective. Now, what happened between 60s, when both Seebeok and Portman published their main works, and current times? The term of animal culture was invented, I think, in 80s or 90s probably. And it was really based on empirical observation of the behavior and social system of apes. And in the 60s, when this idea of secondary altriciality was devised, actually really almost nothing was known about the behavior of apes in the wild. It is due to the works of Jane Goodall and her followers that they found out that the social structure of apes is really very complex, and that they are able of some really before that highly developments. So, for example, ant fishing, that it's not just that a chimp find a stick, but also make some developments with it. So strip it out of the bark and use it in inventive ways. So here we comes about with a different definition of culture. Andrew Whiten, one of the leading primatologists and comparative psychologists. A cultural behavior is one that is transmitted repeatedly through social or observational learning to become a population-level characteristic. So what is important with this definition is learning, and that it can be transmitted not only from a mother to a child, but somehow across the society. And animals are here portrayed as true agents, which come up with unique solutions. Somebody has to always be first with the new invention, and only afterwards others can follow. So this well go together with Calevi's enlistment against in biosemiotics against determinism, for example. So we can say with this advancement of animal cultures that not only humans but also great apes have biological dispositions to step over from natural necessity to cultural creativity. So based on these thoughts, together with Matěj Pudil, we designed so-called concentric model. We published this paper some 4 years ago, and the only motivation for me to talk about it years later is that it was awarded a Biosemiotic Achievement Award. No, it's a joke. I think that we didn't cover something which came later in literature, and I have some thoughts to add to that. So what were two motivations already covered there? That none of Ixchel, Sibiok, and Portman were ready to ascribe true creativity to non-human animals because they didn't know about this phenomenon of animal cultures. Also, an important motivation was to look for a special position of humans. So we still have this agenda that humans might be unique, but we want to find this uniqueness within nature. So culture is not meant to be opposite to nature, but somehow interconnected with it. So we devised the model which is based in pluralism. So non-human animals, like every species you can come with, and humans are put in the same levels. And we also wanted to cover corporeality, not only domains of cognition and culture, but also this like very biological background, and social communication was important for us. So human specificity among other specificities, which is quite a different strategy what Darwinians do, because for Darwinians, usually there is still this vision that humans are somehow superior in their skills to all other animals. Another, let's say, modeling approach behind was, maybe you will tell me about better word, but we call it planar approach. So we actually we are not sure if it's a good idea to place culture above the other levels. Maybe it's better to put them planarly into one domain and afterwards to ask about the interrelations. And we had feeling that with non-human animals, corporality should be really in the center, and that culture divisions, if you remember the picture with what chimpanzees treating each other like this. So it's very based in corporality, and they mimic it afterwards, and it spreads to all the community. Of course, they need to understand the meaning of this sign, which is we will start to groom each other. Whereas in humans, we also showed that well, culture is such a strong domain here that we also structure our corps different or very differently. For example, we have clauses and also social communication, and we can go back to Portman and his idea of social uterus and language, which is always to be learned from the specific cultural background. So what we had as one of the results of this modeling approach, that the differentiation between humans and non-humans is in these arrows. And now this is the part that I think should be developed in slightly different manner. I will once again rely on the works of Christoph Besch. So he said that back again to Portman and his bold claim. So Christoph Besch actually showed that the social forms of animals are being changed by themselves. In his work, Wild Cultures, he very nicely described nut-cracking session in the Thai forest. So basically, small chimps can learn from their mothers and from other individuals how to crack the nut. And what is interesting that mothers are very sensitive for the progress of their apprentices. So it's something like maybe indirect, but definitely it's something like social teaching. And we can talk about social learning environment in this case. So actually, I think that that's the good case why to add this orange arrow from culture to social communication in case of this and probably many other behaviors which are learned and not just mimic it. But Christoph Besch wants to show that there are some cases where humans are different from other apes. In material culture, they make composite tool containers. In social culture, it's systematic social teaching. In symbolic culture, and this is now very popular in cognitive studies, that only our children are capable of over-imitation, for example, in language acquisition. So now the last thinker I would like very briefly to cover is Kevin Laland, one of the founders of the extended evolutionary synthesis. And this extended evolutionary synthesis started as a overarching theory which didn't want to distinguish between the deeds of animals and human beings. Now, but what is very interesting that at last 10 years, even Kevin Laland actually adopted this program of finding anthropological difference. And he says that there is human cognitive uniqueness, which consists of these 6 achievements of features, which are to some degree could be also found in chimps or other apes or even other species. But what is specific is the intercorrelation in human case. So because of that, we could speak not only about development, but also only historical time in case of humans, which is nested into the evolutionary time. So according to Laland, humans are more than just souped up apes. Our history embraces a different kind of evolutionary dynamic. All species are unique, but we are uniquely unique. So this actually approved Portman's intuition that only our social forms are continuously being changed. So nice example of that is, for example, that we always ask what human family look like, and this can change from generation to generation. So I think that I can actually stop here. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to discussion.
Thank you very much, Filip. Open for discussion. Sergey?
I have a very strange question. I almost agree with you, but this is very strange for me that specialists in human culture don't know all this material and they deny existence of culture in animal. How you explain this situation?
So that how is it? Why some researchers still
specialists in human culture deny all this phenomena? Why?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I can think, for example, of Michael Tomasello, who is now really a leading figure in comparative cognition, comparative psychology. And for example, he denies that chimpanzees are able to share attention. When they hunt together, it doesn't mean that they know about the goals of the other conspecifics. And I think that it's one of the dangerous sides of this program of finding strong anthropological difference, because you always need to find some behavioral or cognitive ability which is lacking in the animals. So I think it's actually the result of this modeling approach, which okay, I was also looking for anthropological difference, but at the beginning I said that we need to start with the level where we are looking for sameness. But I think this is not the case of some of the current psychologists or comparative psychologists, that from the very beginning they look for the difference and then make a strong case about this.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Perhaps from the online, is there somebody from the online community that wants to ask something?
Doesn't seem like it.
Okay. Carly, okay.
What do you mean by creativity? Because that was one term very important for you. Is it just abduction or something else?
Well, it's the way how to understand it. Abduction, why not?
Okay, that's a short and sweet answer.
because yeah, like if we go to some theory, so for me one of the starting point was still biology is regarded as natural science, but at the same time there is this phenomenon of animal cultures. So how to take this together? And I think with this term of animal cultures, really there has to be like theoretical rethinking of biology is about. So even in the case of animals, we need to consider their social domain. And once you are thinking about social determinism, really doesn't make much sense. Like it can be there as the ideal, but it doesn't work in real field. So yes, the level of sociality can be understood in semiotic terms as the field for abduction.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.